All right, let's get ready for a deep dive into the story of Phill Knight and the incredible journey of how Nike came to be.
Absolutely.
So you know Nike, shoes, the swoosh, just do it, all that.
Mhm.
But did you know that it all started with a guy selling shoes out of the trunk of his car?
I love that.
This is going to be fascinating, I think. There's a lot we can unpack here.
Oh, yeah. Tons of lessons here.
Especially for any entrepreneurs out there.
For sure. It's not just a business story. It's really a blueprint for turning passion into power. Yeah. We're going to unpack his journey, from those early struggles to the moments of brilliance and see what we can learn from his hustle.
So let's rewind all the way back to 1962. Phill Knight, fresh out of Stanford Business School, writes a paper about importing running shoes from Japan.
Yeah.
Now, most of us would have filed that paper away and,
gotten a real job.
Gotten a real job, exactly.
Okay. But not Phill Knight.
Not Knight. He was a runner himself.
Yeah, he was trained by the legendary Bill Bowerman. So he had that firsthand experience. And he knew that the running shoe market was just ripe for disruption. The dominant brands at the time were expensive and honestly not that innovative. So Knight saw an opportunity to bring high-quality, affordable shoes to these runners, to athletes that were hungry for something better.
I like that, hungry for something better.
Yeah.
So he goes to Japan, strikes a deal with Onitsuka Tiger, you know them as ASICS today,
right,
and starts Blue Ribbon Sports, which was like a
precursor.
The precursor to Nike. But here's where it gets real. No fancy offices, no venture capital, just pure hustle.
Pure hustle.
Picture this. Knight is driving to track meets, popping the trunk of his Plymouth Valiant.
I love it.
And he's selling shoes directly to athletes. I mean, it's the ultimate example of starting small and thinking big, right?
Yeah.
He knew what runners wanted, and he was willing to do whatever it took to get those shoes on their feet. This is passion fueling the grind.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's one thing to have an idea.
Right.
It's another thing to actually be out there every day, especially when you're starting from scratch.
Right.
What do you think kept him going during those early years?
Well, I think it was more than just an idea for him. It was like an obsession.
Right.
I loved running. He believed that he was offering something better to the athletes that he admired. And there's this great quote from him. The cowards never started and the weak died along the way. That leaves us.
Whoa.
He wasn't afraid of the hard work. He wasn't afraid of the uncertainty or the risk. It was all part of the journey for him.
That is gold, yeah. And I think it really speaks to something so important for entrepreneurs. That grit, that refusal to give up even when things are tough. So he's selling shoes, business is growing, but then things get a little rocky with Onitsuka.
Yeah.
This had to be a major setback for him.
It was a turning point, absolutely. So, he had built this successful distribution network, but the relationship with Onitsuka soured, which led to a legal battle. Most people would have been devastated, I think, in that situation, maybe thrown in the towel.
Yeah.
But not Knight.
Right.
He saw it as an opportunity.
So instead of letting this crush him, he decides to go at it alone.
Right.
Talk about guts. I mean, starting a new brand.
Yeah.
Going up against established players.
Yeah.
That's a huge leap of faith.
Huge. He had this saying, play by the rules, but be ferocious. He was determined to succeed. And he knew that meant building his own brand, forging his own path. That's when Nike was born. So you see these challenges, these massive challenges, sometimes they can be the catalyst for something even greater.
Yeah. It's not about avoiding the hurdles. It's about how you respond to them.
Exactly.
He could have easily walked away.
Right.
But instead, he doubled down and created something iconic, which is a lesson we can all take to heart, no matter what challenges we're facing.
Absolutely. That resilience, that ability to adapt and see opportunity where others see failure.
So he's got this new brand, Nike, and he's ready to take on the world. But I bet there were still a ton of obstacles along the way.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
You can only imagine.
For sure. A ton. Yeah. Building a brand from scratch is never easy.
Right.
Especially in a competitive market like athletic wear.
Yeah.
But Knight was relentless. He knew that to stand out, Nike had to be more than just another shoe company.
So how did they go from this brand new name to, Nike?
Innovation was key. So remember Bill Bowerman?
Knight's old track coach?
Knight's old track coach. Yeah. Their partnership was pure magic.
Yeah.
Bowerman was obsessed with improving athletic performance, like constantly experimenting with new materials and designs.
Oh, wow.
And one of Nike's most iconic innovations, the waffle sole,
Okay.
was literally born in his kitchen.
Wait, seriously. The waffle sole came from a waffle iron.
I kid you not.
It's amazing.
Bowerman was trying to create a sole with better traction, and the inspiration just struck him while he was staring at his wife's waffle iron.
No way.
Poured some rubber into the iron, and boom, the waffle sole was born.
That's the kind of story you just can't make up. It's a perfect example of thinking outside the box,
Totally.
seeing potential where others just see breakfast food.
Exactly. And that spirit of innovation extended beyond just product design.
Okay.
Knight had this knack for marketing, and he knew how to connect with athletes on an emotional level.
Yeah.
They weren't just selling shoes, they were selling a feeling, aspiration.
Okay, so enter the Just Do It campaign,
Oh, yeah.
which is more than just a slogan.
It's a philosophy. It's an attitude.
Yeah.
It resonated with people far beyond the world of sports.
For sure.
Knight understood that people wanted to be challenged
Yeah.
to push their limits to achieve their goals, and that's what Just Do It embodied.
Yeah.
It was permission to take risks.
Right.
To ignore the doubters.
Yeah.
To chase your dreams.
It's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a message that still resonates today.
It does.
But even with these innovative products and this brilliant marketing,
Right.
Nike faced its share of controversy,
They did.
especially around labor practices.
Mhm.
How did Knight handle that?
It was a learning process. In the early days, Nike, like a lot of companies, relied heavily on overseas manufacturing.
Right.
As the company grew, so did the scrutiny of those practices. There were concerns about working conditions, wages, and the use of child labor in some factories.
Yeah, that's a tough spot to be in.
Yeah.
You're building this brand that's all about empowerment and achieving your best.
Right.
But then you have these ethical questions that are being raised about how your products are made.
Right. It was a wake-up call, not just for Knight, but
Yeah.
for the entire industry. Initially, there was some defensiveness.
Sure.
But Knight eventually recognized that Nike had a responsibility
Yeah.
to ensure ethical practices throughout their supply chain.
So how did they respond? Did they make any changes?
So they started by increasing transparency,
Okay.
allowing independent audits of their factories and publishing the findings.
Okay.
They implemented stricter codes of conduct for their suppliers
Right.
and worked to improve wages and working conditions.
So it sounds like they were trying to be proactive at this point.
Yeah.
Not just reacting to bad press,
Right.
but actually taking steps to address the root causes of the problems.
Exactly. It wasn't perfect,
Yeah.
and there were definitely missteps along the way.
Of course.
But it does reflect a broader shift in corporate responsibility that was happening at the time.
Yeah.
Consumers were demanding more from the brands that they supported,
Right.
and Nike, to its credit, was willing to evolve.
It's a good reminder that even the most successful companies
Yeah,
aren't immune to scrutiny,
for sure.
and that addressing ethical concerns is essential for long-term sustainability.
Absolutely. It's not enough to just make great products.
Yeah.
You have to operate with integrity and a commitment to doing what's right.
So we've talked about the challenges, the controversies, but let's not forget about the impact that Knight had as a leader.
Right.
What was his leadership style like?
He was intense,
Okay.
demanding, but also incredibly inspiring.
Interesting.
He fostered a culture of fierce competition,
Go.
not just against other brands, but within Nike itself.
Oh, yeah.
He pushed his team to think differently,
Yeah.
to take risks, to never settle for second best.
It sounds like a pretty high-pressure environment.
It was. But he inspired incredible loyalty and dedication from his team.
Okay.
He believed in empowering his employees, giving them ownership over their projects,
Yeah.
and encouraging them to push boundaries.
So that's an interesting approach. It sounds like
Yeah.
he was willing to delegate and trust his team,
Yeah.
which is something a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with, I think.
It's about creating a culture where people feel valued, challenged, and inspired to do their best work. Knight understood that he couldn't do it all himself.
Right.
He needed a team of talented, passionate people
Yeah.
who shared his vision. And together, they built something extraordinary.
It's a great example of how strong leadership
right.
combined with a shared vision can propel a company to incredible heights.
It's not just about having a great product.
Right.
It's about having a great team and a culture that fosters innovation, creativity, and a relentless pursuit of excellence.
So we've seen how Knight navigated challenges, built a powerful brand,
Right.
fostered this culture of innovation. But
Yeah.
what about his legacy? What did he leave behind when he stepped down as CEO?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like we've covered so much, from a guy selling shoes out of his trunk.
It's amazing.
Right.
To this global brand.
I think it's amazing how much Knight's personal journey kind of mirrors Nike's rise.
It really does.
Yeah.
It's true. He wasn't just building a company, he was building a legacy.
And that legacy has so many facets to it, right? On the one hand, there's that tangible impact. Nike's products, that just do it ethos,
Right.
That's become this cultural phenomenon.
Right. Yeah.
And then the company's size, the influence.
I mean, it's everywhere.
It is.
You can't escape it.
It's true.
But then there's also that less tangible stuff.
Right.
Like the inspiration he's given to so many people.
Totally. To countless entrepreneurs, athletes, everyday people
Yeah.
who just want to chase their dreams.
It's that entrepreneurial spirit that's so captivating to me.
Yeah.
It's like embracing the challenges,
Right.
taking those risks,
Absolutely.
and never giving up on that vision.
Yeah.
Even when things get tough.
Yeah.
And trust me,
Oh, yeah.
they do.
They do, for sure.
Knight proved that it's how you respond to those challenges
Right.
that really defines you.
Exactly. There's another great quote from him. He said, "Don't stop. Don't even think about stopping until you get there, and don't give much thought to where there is. Whatever comes, just don't stop."
Don't stop.
It's that relentless forward momentum,
Wow.
that refusal to let setbacks break you.
I think that's such a powerful message. And it's not just about pushing yourself. It's about building that team that shares your passion and vision.
Totally.
Knight knew he couldn't do it alone, right? He surrounded himself with these really talented, creative people
Absolutely.
who challenged him,
Yeah.
pushed him,
Right.
and helped him bring that vision to life.
Totally. I mean, think about that partnership with Bill Bowerman.
Yeah.
Two very different personalities, but they had this shared passion for innovation and excellence that fueled Nike's success.
Totally.
And it's a reminder that building a strong team, finding those partners that complement your strengths and weaknesses, that's crucial for any entrepreneur.
It's about more than just delegating those tasks. It's about finding people you trust, people who inspire you, people who push you to be your best self. And I think that's something that Knight understood instinctively.
Yeah.
He created that culture where people felt empowered
Right.
to take ownership, to innovate, and push the boundaries.
Yeah, and that culture of innovation is what kept Nike at the forefront of the industry.
For sure.
They were constantly experimenting, pushing the limits of what was possible,
Right.
whether it was product design, marketing, their whole approach to business.
So what's the biggest takeaway from Knight's journey? What's the one thing that you want our listeners to walk away with today?
I think it's this. Passion is fuel, perseverance is your engine, and innovation is the key to staying ahead of the curve. But ultimately, success is about more than just building a business or making a profit, right? It's about making a difference, leaving a mark on the world, and inspiring others to chase their own crazy dreams.
And that's exactly what Phill Knight did. He took a simple idea,
Yeah,
a love for running,
Absolutely.
and turned it into this global phenomenon.
really did.
And I think in doing so, he taught us all a really valuable lesson. It's not about where you start, it's
Yeah.
about where you finish.
Where you end
So
up.
what is your finish line?
Yeah.
What's that dream that's been nagging at you?
Hmm.
To everyone listening, whatever your dreams are,
Yeah.
remember Phill Knight's story?
His passion, his resilience.
The unwavering belief in himself.
You don't have to have all the answers.
Sometimes you just gotta trust the process.
Just do it. Isn't just a slogan.
It's a call to action,
An invitation to unlock your potential.
to create a life that means something.
So what are you waiting for?
What dream are you chasing?
What step can you take today to get closer to your goals?
Remember, you have the power within you.
Just do it.
And until next time, keep diving deep and keep chasing those dreams.